I've seen The Force Awakens 2 times now, twice within 24 hours. I actually found that I enjoyed the movie more the second time around. Maybe because my hype jitters had subsided. Maybe because I knew I was in for a fun ride and the nervous feeling of, oh no, this might be really bad, had subsided. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I'm warning you, spoilers ahead. Please save this video for a later date. Did The Force Awakens feel like Star Wars? Yes. More so than anything since Return of the Jedi. It was definitely fast and fun. The banter was there, the excitement was intense. It really did capture the essence of what made the original trilogy so great. I do have some gripes and disappointment with some aspects of it. I'll get to those specifics throughout the video. The first shot where the First Order ship blacks out the planet, I loved that. It was a spin on the opening of A New Hope. It symbolized the darkness ahead, the looming shadow of the First Order. I really thought this was a brilliant introduction. The sequence of Poe on Jakku was fantastic too. When Kylo stops the laser in its tracks, I let out an enthusiastic giggle. It was awesome. When Poe and Finn escape in the TIE Fighter, their interaction and enthusiasm was so much fun to see. You need a pilot. Yeah, I need a pilot. The entire escape, man, that was so much fun to watch. I really expected to see more Poe throughout the movie. I'm slightly disappointed that he didn't play a larger role. He just kind of disappears when they crash on Jakku, and we don't see him pop up again until the Resistance is about to attack Starkiller Base. Just that one line at the end where Poe says he got thrown from the crash, it just kind of felt clunky, felt convenient. I almost wish Poe and Finn would have crashed together. Maybe Finn had to help him walk or drag him across the desert to safety, and then they would both meet up with Rey, and it would become a trio. Poe's character is basically, from what I can tell, going to be the new Han Solo, which is great. He's a rogue, he's a smartass. I understand why he wasn't in most of the movie. Han Solo was the rogue. There'd probably be too much rogueness in the movie if we had Poe and Han on screen. Too many characters to juggle. The focus might have gotten a little muddied, but I loved Poe's attitude so much that I really wish he had more screen time. I'm expecting him to play a big part in Episode 8. I really hope he's in the spotlight more. Rey's character introduction was great. The entire time that we spend on Jakku was pure Star Wars magic. Daisy Ridley, man, she knocked it out of the park. She is a natural, and she really made Rey fun to watch. I can't wait to see her character in the future. One of my favorite things in the entire movie is how they introduced the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo, and Chewbacca. When Finn and Rey are running away from the strafing TIE fighters, trying to get to the quad jumper to escape, Finn points at the side and says, "What about that one?" And Rey says, "That one is garbage." The quad jumper explodes, and then she says something like, "The garbage one will do." And the camera twists to reveal the Millennium Falcon as they're running towards it. It was an amazing way to introduce an iconic spaceship. They could have really cheesed it up by having it in a hangar and they walk in and some like Ark of the Covenant mystical lighting hits it and some ramped up triumphant music comes on. But they didn't. It's just a junker, a piece of trash lying in the desert. That introduction was perfect. And the introduction of Han and Chewie was great too. I'm sure they thought long and hard about how they should put them back on the screen, and to just have the door open and them standing there was awesome. It was just like, fuck you, here's Han and Chewie. We don't have to have some magical introduction. Here they are. Just like the Falcon, put them on screen and don't make a big deal about it. I really like the way they did that. All of the new characters are a lot of fun to watch. Finn was great. He had a few lines that just kind of felt weird to me, like when he asked Rey if she has a boyfriend, a cute boyfriend. I kind of tilted my head and got taken out for a second. A cute boyfriend? Okay, this is Star Wars, right? But overall, he was a lot of fun to watch. John Boyega did a great job. As for the character of Finn, the introduction was a bit strange to me. This guy who was pretty much taken and trained from birth to be an obedient, almost robotic soldier for the First Order just happens to feel differently than all of the other obedient robotic soldiers on his first mission. I mean, I like the idea, but he just switched his mentality so quickly. If they didn't say that this was his first mission, I could have bought it a lot more. Like if he would have had some dialogue about other atrocities that he was a part of and explained that over time, his feelings about the First Order started to change, that would have felt more believable. Captain Phasma even says Finn never had any issues before this. She says he's always been obedient and they've never had a problem with him. So for me, he just flipped too quickly. Maybe that's not important. Maybe that's just a little nitpicky, but that's just how I feel about it. I also have a little theory about that, of course it's probably wrong, about why his shift happened so fast. And maybe this is just me trying to justify the flip and put a positive spin on it, but maybe Finn is a plant and he doesn't know it. Maybe they made him like this to infiltrate the Resistance without him being aware. If that's the case, the plot could go the way of the second act in the original trilogy. The Empire Strikes Back was a dark time for our heroes, and maybe episode 8 will follow that same path. Finn engineered to be a plant, a spy. But him being oblivious to that fact could make for a really interesting character arc, but that's just me thinking out loud. The way the first scene was shot, where they show him not firing at the villagers, running around frantically, that was very well done. John Boyega did a really good job. When Rey gets captured, and then there's that shot of Finn sprinting towards Kylo Ren's ship, screaming her name at the top of his lungs, holy shit. That was fantastic. Him interacting with Han was classic Star Wars too. I loved how Han kept calling him Big Deal because Finn said he was a big deal in the Resistance. There was a lot of good, clever, and subtle banter that was great in this movie. Man, they really hyped up Captain Phasma. All of the press junkets, all of the toys, all of the hype. I really expected to see more of her. Hell, Greg Grunberg almost has as much time as Captain Phasma. Maybe there were scenes cut out of the final version of the movie where she played a larger role, but I never expected for her to be so minor in the story. I wasn't disappointed to not see more Captain Phasma. It was just super unexpected. I was worried that there would be too much emphasis on the old cast and characters. I was pleasantly surprised for that not to be the case. Sure, Han and Chewie played a huge role, but everyone else pretty much sat on the sideline, which is good. Let the new cast stand in the spotlight. I was worried to see Han Solo because you really don't want one of your favorite characters ever to be messed up in a new chapter. But I was so happy with how he was used in the story, how his character pretty much remained the same. Yeah, he's older, but he's still Han Solo. He had some of the best lines of dialogue in the entire movie. Okay, so it's bigger? That's not how the Force works. He was a smartass. They really did a good job bringing Han Solo back to life. Chewbacca was a lot of fun to watch too. When the female medic was checking on him and she was saying how brave he was in a tone that you would speak into a child, that was funny. That was really clever and fun to watch. Chewbacca's mannerisms were great. Without being able to understand a single word, he really made me laugh. There's a lot of really good humor in this movie. Some really fantastic lines and behavior. Like when Finn gives BB-8 a thumbs up and BB-8 gives him a thumbs up with his little robotic arm lighter thing. The entire audience laughed out loud, me included. BB-8 was great overall. He wasn't a comical, bumbling idiot. He was a droid. His subtle usage was smart. Another example of the awesome humor was when Kylo starts smashing up a room in a fit of anger, and the two stormtroopers are walking down the hall towards him. They stop and turn around and walk away at a faster pace. That was funny. When Rey is strapped on the table and she uses the mind trick to have the stormtrooper release her, and he drops his weapon, funny stuff. There is a lot of fantastic humor in this movie that is super reminiscent of the banter and fun in the original trilogy. It was charming and kept things fun and often lighthearted where they needed to be. Kylo Ren, I really like him so far. He's being pulled to the light side, which is an interesting concept. We've always heard of characters being pulled to the dark side, so this is a fun twist. People have said he feels like a whiny teenager. I don't really get that from him. I just see an angry and confused dude who has a wicked temper. I don't get the Anakin teenager whining about not getting his way vibe from Kylo Ren. I really like him as a bad guy. I went into the movie thinking that I wouldn't like his voice, but I did. Often he sounded monotone and scary in a quiet and calm way until he gets pissed. And when he gets pissed, it is a fun moment. At the end when he yells traitor at Finn, yikes. It's nice to have a new bad guy who we can watch evolve throughout the next potentially 2 movies. I am so happy they didn't kill him off. I think everyone had a feeling he would be related to someone somehow. I didn't expect it to be Han, but the idea of him being Han and Leia's son and Darth Vader being his grandfather and him being a student of Luke Skywalker who destroyed the new Jedi Order or whatever. I think that entire concept keeps things pretty level without feeling too goofy and over the top when it comes to connections. I don't really know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my own head. Whatever. I'm hoping that Rey is not a family member. I just hope she's introduced as a new and fresh character without any family connections, but I have a feeling that it will be revealed that she's Luke Skywalker's daughter or someone's daughter that we already know. I hope not though. I like the idea of someone not related to these characters being able to calm herself and tap into the Force without having to be a part of a lineage. I've said it 100 times before, not everything has to be connected. The First Order is fantastic. Their tactics are ruthless, even more so than the Galactic Empire. They bombard the shit out of something and then land. They are a great evil force for the audience to rally against. I've said it for a while, I was worried that the enemy wouldn't be menacing enough in this movie, but I was pleasantly surprised. They are vicious. General Hux's speech in front of the First Order troops before the Death Star, Star Killer Base, fires at the planets, that speech was great. Full of anger, full of hate, very menacing. Supreme Leader Snoke? There's really nothing to say about him because we don't really know anything about him. Which doesn't bother me, we still have 2 more movies to learn about his character. When he was sitting on the throne looking like a giant, I instantly thought, oh no, that's dumb. Do we have giants now? It's one of these kind of movies. I thought it was so stupid. And then you see a blue flicker and we find out that it was a hologram. Big sigh of relief when I realized that. I really didn't want to see a giant. But I'm curious about this guy. My theory is that he is actually a little dude, projecting himself as a giant. Like the Wizard of Oz. He did not need to be CG. I don't understand why he was. In a movie so heavy on practical effects, sets, and creatures, why does a guy who sits in a chair the whole movie have to be CG? I don't get it. So, Star Killer Base. I'm disappointed that it's just another Death Star. The movie also seemed to make fun of itself when they brought the 2 hologram images up comparing the Death Star and Star Killer Base, and Han said something like, okay, it's just bigger. At least that's how I took it, them poking fun at the idea. They knew people would have a problem with it, so they addressed it directly in a clever way. But I do have a problem with it. Call it what you will, it's still a big-ass ball in space designed to blow up planets. It's a Death Star. It's the 3rd time we've had a planet-destroying space station in a Star Wars movie. I don't understand. Why? I really wish they would have come up with something new. To me, it seemed like the only reason there was another giant planet-destroying space station in this movie was so they could conveniently wipe out the New Republic. I mean, maybe I would have cared about the destruction of the New Republic if we would have had more than 1 or 2 sentences about it, but it just seemed like a really convenient way to wipe the slate clean. Which, yeah, the slate probably needed to be wiped, but it just seems so convenient. Oh, we mentioned there's a New Republic? Well, just have a giant space station blow up all the planets where the New Republic is based. I just really fucking wish they would have done something different. At this point, a giant planet-destroying superweapon just seems, as my buddy said, and I agree, like lazy storytelling. I said something very similar in my Return of the Jedi review. Despite this gripe, and it is a big gripe, I still had a lot of fun seeing The Force Awakens, and I plan on seeing it a few more times until it's no longer in theaters. There's no dull or boring stuff at all in this movie. It moves along quickly, fluidly, and has a fantastic pace to it. From the character introductions to the final battle to destroy the Starkiller base, everything was just energetic and exciting. There's a shot where Finn is running and Poe is overhead blowing the hell out of TIE fighters and First Order ships, and Finn yells, "That's one hell of a pilot." That entire sequence was so awesome. The action in this movie is fast and fun. It's what it should be. The characters are enjoyable, and you care about them because you've invested enough time with them. You've gotten to know them. The scene where Han Solo dies was really well done. There was no music, just silence, just dialogue. You kind of felt it coming, and then it happened. Yeah, it was sad. A character you've known your entire life, someone who has defined what you love about this franchise, is no longer going to be a part of the franchise. Regardless of the emotional connection we all have with the character of Han Solo, the scene was great, and when Chewbacca went on a rampage, shooting stormtroopers left and right, it was pretty goddamn awesome. At the end, where Rey and Luke confront one another, that was a solid way to wrap up the movie, and it really made me excited for the next chapter. I can't believe he wasn't in the movie at all. I mean, really. That was completely unexpected for me. And it's not a negative thing, it was a nice little twist. I thought he'd play a large role at some point, but I have to admit, I'm happy he didn't. The idea of our characters trying to find Luke is really neat. Keeping him out of the movie completely also kept the movie from feeling like it was just tossing old nostalgic characters in our face. The use of the original characters was nice and subtle. Not too much Leia, not too much 3PO. The characters that we know and love from the past took a back seat, which I'm very happy about. I loved the lightsaber fight at the end. They took it back to realistic swordsmanship, where the weapons have weight, and gravity doesn't reduce to that of the moon so people can flip and jump. The setting was awesome, and the way the lightsabers naturally lit the set looked fantastic. The sticks actually glowed on set. I heard J.J. Abrams talking about that in an interview. They glow on the actor's face. They light the scene. They offer some really fantastic looking lighting that makes the overall spectacle look aesthetically pleasing. When Finn and Kylo fight, that was a lot of fun. An amazing shot was when Kylo was trying to pull the lightsaber towards him with the Force. He's struggling, and the lightsaber whips towards him, goes by his face, and lands in Rey's hand where she's standing ready to fight. The entire audience let out an "oh shit, that was awesome" cheer. That entire ending lightsaber fight was so well done. It brought Star Wars back to its roots. It kept things grounded. I couldn't have been happier with how that scene was executed. Seeing The Force Awakens with an audience that is invested in the story, whose excitement level is through the roof, really makes it an experience. People cheering, people gasping. You're not just going to the movie theater to kill some time and watch something that you think might be good. You're going to experience an event. You're going so you can be a part of Star Wars fandom. Do I think The Force Awakens is better than the movies in the original trilogy? No, I don't. But I didn't expect it to be. Those movies built the foundation, and The Force Awakens starts the scaffolding. The movie is what we all needed. It took us back to what we love about the franchise. The witty humor, the banter, the quickness, characters discovering themselves, evil terrorizing the galaxy, and fun action. The movie is what it needed to be. The Force Awakens is a good way to introduce all of us back into the fun world of Star Wars. Like an old friend waving from across the room. Remember me? I haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been? That's what the movie felt like. I don't think it's a coincidence that the first line in the movie is, "This will begin to make things right." This made Star Wars fun again. It brought it back to its roots. Did it play it safe? Yeah, but it almost had to, right? The first episode in the new trilogy had to be simple and fun, and that's what it was. It reminded us of what we love, and for that, we had a fun ride. At least I did, and I know a shitload of other people did. Was it flawless? Absolutely not. Did the flaws stop me from enjoying the movie? Absolutely not. Star Wars is back, and The Force Awakens hits all of the right notes to keep the fun alive. This was a love letter to Star Wars fans. This will begin to make things right. HelloGreedo, out.
Always with you, it cannot be done.